Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. Uh, my, this is My name is Anthony Lorito-Duke, and this is Ticket Information Highway Show. And we have a great topic for today's show, which is June is Pride. And I want to take this time to say to uh, all of my LGBTQI brothers and sisters out there, a happy Pride and a safe one. And I was just hosting my show Equality and Rights for All on Spreaker.com, and we were talking about this topic, and I want to continue it in this show. And in the show that I just hosted, we were talking about uh, labels um, and a whole bunch of other things, and about respect. And that's why I first want to uh, basically pretty much stipulate exactly what I said on that show into this show, because with this show I have uh, a lot of different fans out there as well. So I want to make sure everybody gets the same message. And when people hear LGBT, they know what it is. They knew it for decades. Okay. And then when it became LGBTQ and then LGBTQI, things got more complicated. Okay. And when you make things complicated, right, it turns people away. It's too confusing. It's like reading a book that's 500 pages long. People are going to turn away from it. Then they're not going to read it. They're not going to then understand it and whatever. And because of the confusion, there's a saying of, if something's not broken, don't touch it. Leave it alone. You got to walk away from it and just let it be. And even though I understand why people say that um, things have to change and we have to have more inclusivity, and then we have to change, we have to add in more letters and whatever. And I understand all that. But at the same time, it's going to be very confusing to people. Okay. And more people are going to turn away from it. And that's going to lead to a whole lot of other problems. And we don't want that. Now, also, uh, you know, like I've had somebody ask me, how do when I'm first speaking to somebody, how do I approach them? It's simple. You don't have to say, miss this or whatever. Simply say, hello. That's it. If they want to say, I'm Mrs. So and so, or whatever, fine. That's up to them. And um, so that's the proper way of going about it. And I understand that people are confused and they don't want to be disrespectful towards one another. There's a simple way of doing it. And I just stipulated what it is. And since we're also talking about respect, you know, I'm very glad that we have come a long way. We have much more to go. Don't get me wrong, but we have come a long way. And like in today's society, pronouns can, have to be respected. And if you have a gay couple and one of them is feminine and says, I'm Mrs. So and so, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And for people that are confused, like I said, you just say hello. And if they present themselves as Mrs. So and so, you have to say to yourself, okay, that's it. Simple. No matter whether you like it or not, you know, it's not rocket science. You just simply say, okay. And, years ago, like I said, you know, people knew what LGBT stood for. And, now it's, You knew back then who was the masculine one, and you knew who was the feminine one. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, people took it out of context. People made fun of it and whatever over the period of time. And people also said, well, I don't like labels. I don't want labels. I hate labels. There's nothing wrong with labels, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely nothing wrong with labels. It's like what I said in the other, on the other show. It's like when you go into a supermarket and you want to buy a product, what's the first thing you look at? Labels. Nothing wrong with it. Now, if people don't like labels, then that's on them. But we have to respect one another. Okay. And once you do that, that'll make things go a lot smoother. A lot smoother. And it's about not just respecting each other as a society, in relationships of every sort, you know, and it's enough with the hatred and the negativity, and even within the LGBT community, okay, there is differences and so on. And you know what? There's a lot of people who turn around and say, well, a gay couple, they treated us like this, so we're just going to walk around with that attitude towards all of them. I understand they're hurt and that they're angry, but not every gay person did that to them. There were specific gay individuals that did it to them. And if you want to walk around with an attitude or whatever, then take it out on those specific individuals that did that to you. And that's the only ones you have the right to have that. Okay? If an innocent person wants to join with you and who did not hurt you in any way, shape, or form, then you have no right to take your crappy, disgusting attitude out on them. Just like you didn't like it when somebody took their attitude and whatever out on you, then you have no right to take your attitude out on innocent people. Okay? As the saying goes, two wrongs don't make a right. So, and if you want to be a leader, okay, you have to show leadership qualities. And if you don't have those leadership qualities, you're not going to be able to be a proper leader. You're not going to be successful. You want to become a success in life, you got to have proper leadership qualities. And showing a nasty, disgusting attitude towards innocent people is not a leadership quality. If if um if you're afraid of, if you're afraid of how to approach somebody in a conversation because you don't want to offend them, it's understandable. You can ask somebody, how do I go about this? And like I said, it's very simple because, like I said, you don't have to worry about saying Mrs. So and so or whatever. Short, sweet, direct, and to the point is the best way to go. And that's just saying a simple hello. How are you? Let them present themselves to you and saying, I'm Mrs. So and so or whatever. And you just accept it. That's it. So it's not rocket science. And then people, who have not grown up, being around uh, different people, different, if they haven't grown up with being around LGBT people, uh, people of color, and so on and so forth, and they don't, these people come to the real world and say like, I'm confused about how to go about this. It's understandable, okay, but you got to be open minded, and when you got to approach somebody and saying, like, how do I go about doing this? They'll explain it to you, like how I just did. You can have an open mind and saying, Okay, I'm gonna do it that way. Not the, "Oh, I don't like that, and I'm not gonna do." No, it's, it's like what Judge Judy used to say, "Nobody cares about what you like and don't like." That's it. You wanna broaden yourself, you wanna be open-minded to new things. You wanna be out of that little bubble, so in a sense. And then to do that properly, you gotta be open-minded and accept, and that goes for professional life and personal life. It goes throughout all across the board. And it's because it's enough with the hatred, it's enough with the nonsense. And in order to get over that, you gotta have an open mind. Okay, you gotta be accepting. You gotta have all that. You gotta be just that's the way you gotta be. And not make fun of people when you see them, you know. And unfortunately that happens all too often. And in many different communities, if they see a trans person in their community and they're ready to make fun of them because they don't like them, you know, that has to stop. Enough with the nonsense. You don't you don't like somebody? Well, guess what? What about the people who don't like you? You want people to give you bad reviews. You want people to give you make fun of you and so on and so forth. And the ones that you love and so on. Would you like it done back to you? If the answer is no, then you have no right to do it. Simple. Just be accepting. That's it. It's not rocket science. Somebody looks different from you. Oh, well. You want to know how I grew up? I'm 48 years old. Here's how I grew up. If you don't like what you're looking at, don't look at it. If you don't like what you're reading, don't read it. Life is not all about you. Life is about equality and understanding and accepting and being open minded. So, and we're seeing it in today's society that the nonsense, the negativity, people are not standing for it anymore. So, you know, and this is also, even though it's difficult times right now, this is also a healing time too. This is also an educational time to wake up, listen to one another, okay? Working together in unity. That's what that's about. Because not only are you doing it for yourself, but you're also doing it for your loved ones and for the next generation, maybe your kids and or your grandkids. Because what are you? Because even parents and grandparents are supposed to be leaders with leadership qualities. And what are you showing to the next generation? What are you leaving for them? They're looking up to you. These kids are watching and listening. And what the so-called adults do, these kids are going to copy. So if you really love them, it's time to do things the right way. Now, there's not much time left to the show, and I want to uh, remind everybody that uh, this show, Advocate Information Highway, I have not set the days or and dates yet, but I'm trying to set it right after I host each show on Spreaker.com. And speaking of which, like I said, Equality and Rights for All is one of my shows that I host on Spreaker.com, and that's set for Thursdays. My other show, Disabled Reality, that I host on Spreaker.com, that's set for Fridays. And I also want to remind everybody about my business, my website, which is Advocate Information Highway, and the link to there is awldny.com. And you guys can check out all the pages on there. The last page is the donations page. Your donations go to help us, Advocate Information Highway, to reach our goals, in which our goals are to help people of in many different communities, and that's what we've been doing. And your donations help us to reach those goals. And so I wanted to mention that, and I also wanted to mention uh, everybody, to check out the store page of the website too, in which on there you'll see the link to my internet store on Zazzle.com, in which I designed a lot of products and they're up for sale on there. You'll also see the links to both books that I wrote, in which you can take a sneak peek into them, and you can also purchase them as well. And you'll also see the link to the website that my husband and I have together called oddsandends.com. That's ODDZ like zebra, N like Nancy, ENDS.com. And you guys can shop to your heart's content. And so, with that, take care, everybody. Bye.